Hi there, my name is Matt Edmonds. I am the Director of Admissions at the Stetson Hatcher School of Business. Thank you very much for joining me today. Today we have a great guest, a fantastic current MBA student who's near the tail end of his program. I think he's walked across the stage, he's ready to get that diploma. I think he's finishing up a couple of classes, but I'd like to introduce you to Derek Lee. Derek, thank you very much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Matt. And I really appreciate you just kind of giving me the time to just share my experience.
And I think I have to actually go and say we both have the same background. Not planned, not planned at all. It's just something that just came up, and we guess, as I said, I mentioned we were talking before this, great minds think alike, and it's an absolutely fantastic background. And if anyone watching this wants to go find a cool background like this, just Google Mercer University Zoom backgrounds, and you're going to find a whole collection of them. Right, now back to where we're going. So Derek, sort of talk a little bit about your undergraduate experience. What was your degree in, and why did you choose Mercer, or why did you choose an MBA degree for starters?
Mm-hmm. For sure, yeah. And thanks again, Matt. So kind of starting off, for my undergrad, I went to Georgia State and I dual majored in marketing and management. And after 10 years being out of school, I decided to pursue my MBA for professional development to kind of stay on top of the best practices in the business field and fine-tune my skills throughout the program. As a professional, developing in his career, I felt kind of stagnant. So I knew I needed to change. So just by going to get my MBA, I was able to just remain teachable and be able to really learn the most up-to-date practices in the business world, and just, the new cultural impacts that would help a company grow and continue to, develop in that regards. And again, it took me 10 years to decide. So for most of y'all watching this, hopefully it'll take you guys sooner.
Well, I can't say nothing about that. It took me 15 years before I went and got my master's degree. So that 10 years is not too bad, but it's all about really the right time. It's really, it comes out the right time for you when you're going to make that jump, whether it is hitting that ceiling, whatever that particular reason is. There's professional development, you look into that next managerial role. Everyone has a reason for it, and it could be 2 years, it could be from like 15 years. So that's kind of things. So obviously there are a lot of MBA programs out there. So why did you choose Mercer University?
Yeah, so for Mercer, I get asked this question a lot from my friends, peers, different colleagues. So, before choosing Mercer, I did research a lot of schools in Georgia, such as UGA, Tech, Kennesaw, State, my alma mater, but taking a step back prior to my MBA journey, I did extensive research. And again, it probably was like a 10-year research. You're really deciding to either go back to school or not. And basically, after 10 years, I decided to kind of take the leap. But I picked Mercer based on these three characteristics: time, location, and cost. So TLC, like the music group. So for Mercer, one thing, time is a huge flexibility for me, because at that time when I got into the program and I was doing it, I was working upwards to about 60 hours a week. When I started my journey, I was a senior analyst at a software company. My schedule was all over the place, but Mercer provided a lot of evening classes, and daytime classes, depending on, what my schedule looked like, and allowed me to take that. And Mercer uses a unique quarter system, which is by eight weeks per class, which is huge for me, because just say if for whatever reason, a student can't go to class like one quarter, they can just pick it up, without waiting an entire semester to enter back into school. So to me, that was huge. Location, just as many of you guys know, Mercer, the Atlanta campus, well, first, Mercer has a lot of campuses across the state, but also has a lot of their Atlanta campus is attached to pretty much centralized all the highways. It's next to Beaver Highway. So if you ever need food, just walk around the corner and you get a lot of good food. So it's pretty centralized to wherever I go. I didn't need to fight downtown traffic. I was able to just, kind of go to the location pretty easily without having to fight. And lastly, cost. So many of us know, it's all about ROI, right? So it's all about return on investment. And the cost for me being an analyst, I did a pricing analysis on all the colleges that I was thinking about going to. And for me, Mercer had the best bang for your buck. And, being able to have a good return on investment. And for me, that was huge. So that's kind of where I decided to go Mercer. And when I entered Mercer, the quality education is just unmatched. And I felt like I learned so much from the program, and it was really well worth it. So again, it was TLC, time, location, and cost was the big factors for me.
So going through that, and I like the fact how you brought the TLC part into. I may have to use that in the foreseeable future. But what has your experience been like within the program? What are the relationships you've built? Because also putting into this is Derek is one of our founders of our ambassadors program. Mm-hmm. So building out the relationships there. But so what has been your experience like within the program and that relationships you sort of built with an assortment of individuals within the student body?
Right. Yeah, being part of the master's program is all about networking, right? You never know who you're going to talk to. The person beside you might be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. You interact with so many different people. From my experience within the program, it was almost like mentorship training. The class sizes were always a good size, so it was never too big. Like when I was, in undergrad, it was like 300 people to a class. Here was reasonable size. I felt every connection that I made, through the fellow Mercer students or the professor, it was, a professional growth or even personal growth. So in my experience, it was almost like a development for both professional and personal growth for me, because a lot of the professors, they will interact with you on a, academic level, but at the same time too, if you're willing to also go with you more on a personal level. And I felt that brought more flavor, and more, context to your experience, and was able to help me grow, as a person, because they have so much good experience that you can ask them about from negotiating a salary to, hey, what are your thoughts on this, situation? It's really cool seeing their insight. And again, they are well knowledge and well versed.
Yeah, so what was your favorite part of the program? Maybe some of the highlights of the curriculum. How has it impacted you professionally?
Yeah, so my favorite part of the program, man, it's a lot of highlights. But one of my favorite, I really enjoyed, was just the way the professors will go beyond the classroom, and just each professor, think of them as like your mentors. Personal relationship. Being able to ask them things outside the class. One of the things that I really enjoyed about the MBA program, and this is probably my favorite, is you get to use a lot of the items that you learn in class and apply it to your current job. So, the class that I took this past quarter was negotiations. And a lot of times, one thing I learned was in negotiations, a lot of times, many of us have a win-win mentality. But the perspective that was really brought and I learned from is not necessarily a win-win, it's more of how to expand a pie so that each party can get even more, not just what's on the table, but even more out of the pie, and expand it together. And by seeing that, I was able to just apply it to the different positions that I'm applying for, and kind of negotiate through that, and just even negotiate the different departments, not even salary, but negotiate, process improvements, being able to discuss, learn from different departments, my current role. So to me, that was a fair part, is just really applying what you learn almost immediately.
And as you said, there's a sort. I think there's probably more more to talk about, but obviously we want to try and keep this as short as possible.
For sure.
But yeah, I'm definitely interested in regard to our negotiations. I think that is a huge highlight with guest speakers. Again, it's just more of everything. It's not just about that classroom. It's about also outside of that classroom, the whole experience, how you're taking just that academic mindset, but then also putting it into growth mindset.
For sure, definitely.
I think that really is a pretty awesome way to look at it. So, you were working as you started this program, you talk about the TLC part, you're working, you're a family guy, but that working part, how did the MBA, or how is the MBA impacting you career-wise?
Yeah, for career-wise, first, during my program, I was working a full-time job, transitioning things in my company. We were going through a merger, so endless hours, but just going to class for me, I think what's impactful was that it was like at work, we were pour out a lot of our work, a lot of grinding and whatnot, but going to class felt like it was like a refresher. Someone's pouring into you. So to me, that was really refreshing, and I think that was a huge part of the program, that you felt like you were learning as well as working, but people were mentoring you and kind of pouring into you.
So sort of coming near the end of this, so what are you doing now? Describe your position.
Yeah, so right now, as of right now, I'm a portfolio billing analyst for a consulting firm here in Atlanta. I help manage billing and contract setups for over 70 plus projects by supporting client executives and the client team. I take ownership of the entire billing process right now, and I'm looking for definitely next steps to either grow my company or like help a company really problem solve and be able to hit that next level for especially since I'm in the ending of my MBA journey. So definitely a lot of opportunities have been opening up. That is for sure.
So, someone who may be watching this, who are joining us at some point in time with this, just go clicking on one wherever this is showing, is what advice would you give to someone who is contemplating starting the MBA program?
Yeah. So one advice, or I guess one thought process is, first off, we all been there. We all like, should I go back to school? Shouldn't I go back to school? And the saying is better late than never. So I would say go ahead and take that leap of faith, because invest in your future now. We know education is only going to cost more in the future. So take the step now, and once you get into the program, just enjoy it, because for many of us, this would be the last time that we're going back to school. So, take your time or load up your classes, however you feel you want to finish, just go ahead and finish. I know the feeling, again, it took me 10 years to go back to school, and I wish I'd done it sooner, but again, everyone's timing, transition of life. But Mercer is a great program. The professors are very supportive. The staff here, just like Matt, very, very supportive. We are all going to transition in life in different life stages. Like for me, I transitioned in work and I had a baby. So Mercer, the staff is very well of the transitions in life, and they're understanding about it. But take that leap of faith, go now. And I think that you won't regret it, because you're investing in your future.
I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
Oh, Derek, thank you very much for joining me. I really do appreciate your time. I thank you for everyone who, if you are joining this at some point in time, thank you very much for joining as well. And I wish you all a good rest of your day.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that.